Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for watching part one of writing this speech. This part two, I dive in a little bit more as to why this was such an emotional process for me in writing this speech and then going to actually writing my book. And I detail it all over on my page here for y'all. So stay tuned for more on the speech because boy, oh boy, was it amazing. I can't wait to share it with you all. I love you. See you there. Bye. Growing up, I had passion after passion, falling in love with each one deeper by the minute. A first love of mine was the bright orange and gray bird that woke me up bright and early every morning as a child. I was in love. American Robins are goofy too. And it felt like their silly behavior gave me the permission that little me needed in order for me to hop around just the same. So, what does it look like to live a day in American Robin's feathers? Well, for starters, they're incredibly intelligent. And I know some people are iffy about calling birds intelligent, but I would argue that if an American gray parrot can learn words in multiple different languages and understand the context in which it is most beneficial to use each, yeah, birds are intelligent. They follow meteorological patterns and forage when it is most convenient for them to do so, which requires enhanced pattern recognition and detail-oriented skills. The thing that captured my heart, though, was their silly way of acquiring the worm that their peach pie little hearts desire. You, robins, don't just wake up early to get the worm, they also create the perfect storm of worm haven. They start their mornings bright and early, most of the times at dawn, with a pulsating call that always seems to ring in dewy spring weather. Some days, when the worms are more difficult to source, robins perform for the worms, following their movement and making the leap. So, are you curious what this looks like? I'm going to show you. But before I do, let's take a look around us and see if we can identify an American robin. Now, I imagine taking like a few minutes for this exercise, just like looking around and getting people like, and I want to like look around and see like, what bird do you see? I want to walk around and just like ask people what it is that they see. So maybe I think I want to wear like a sundress to this, like a very cute sundress. Oh, I need to go buy a very cute sundress. I'm thinking something that's very like ribbed and tight and then just like very flowy. Very like, what is that teacher of the Magic School Bus driver? I kind of want to dress like that, I think. Okay, so if we look around, like, I'm going to be like, awesome, y'all. You did such a good job identifying some birds. And now what we're going to do is we're going to actually mimic the behavior of an American robin. So we might not have just seen it in the American robin, but what you'll notice with an American robin is a few things. So there's a layer of listening. So you'll notice that the bird is sort of like looking around. They're just peacocking everywhere, trying to figure out where it is their next worm is going to be found. So that's one behavior. The second behavior is they're going to be rustling around leaves. They're going to be moving around the ground, trying to figure out what the heck is underneath it. And then once they figure out where those worms are, then what they're doing is they're pouncing on top of it. So that is an American robin. You might be asking, what the heck and why? Well, they do that jumping behavior because it's kind of like the underground equivalent of shaking a snow globe. A worm's cage is quite literally rattled and it gets them moving. Then, the enhanced American robin hearing allows them to literally hear what direction the worm is headed in. Boom. Just like that, the robin leaps forward, similar to a great blue heron, who uses its enhanced vision and sharp beak as a spear towards fish. They both grab their hunt, and this time of year are actually taking the food back to the nests for their young. It's fledgling season. And a few months ago, it was breeding season and migratory season. Each wave of change has brought about significant change for these birds. Let's say change of environment. Environment. It's fledgling season, and just a few months ago, it was breeding season and migratory season. Each wave of birds of change in environment has brought about significant change for these birds, including become highly territorial this time of year. My favorite story about territorial birds is when my brother and his recently purchased Dodge Dart came face to face with an American robin that simply did not like the reflection staring back at him, which is actually pretty common amongst birds such as northern cardinals or eastern bluebirds. The American robin was so territorial over the area where my brother parked his car that it managed to break the windshield of his car, to which he responded by using the reflectant windshield cover and 2 oven mitts for the mirrors. It worked, and the American robin was far less distressed, at least for the cause of my brother's car. They became and become this protective, though, with good reason. They have many young to raise and need to offer as abundant of resources as they can so their young can grow and develop. Now, these young or these fledglings grow relatively quickly, and they're often seen out of the nest as fledglings who don't yet seem to have an established fear of humans. Their curiosity about humans often turns into ambivalence, but nonetheless, they are a bird that can be found across nearly every state in the United States. And they have some pretty cool cousins in other countries. My appreciation and love for birds was first born through Steve Irwin. Need to put a transition there because that was weird. He was kind of like a father figure to me and to many people in my generation who had the fortunate opportunity of seeing him on their screen. He continues to inspire me today, and I hope that I continue his mission of passion through curiosity. His seamless way of communicating to and through birds or animals was so inspiring. I love that he both respected and appreciated the wildlife in Australia. Well, I say all of this and completely neglected to introduce myself, which I'd like to argue actually gives away my diagnosis and what has brought me to speak in front of you all today. My name is Steph, Steph, short for Stephanie, but I don't go by that name anymore. I am that quirky bird girl, and I will take any excuse to talk about birds. I'm a content creator and influencer on TikTok. I am also a podcaster, and I lead bird tours over in Central Park. I have partnered with Audubon societies and interviewed some of the coolest people in the bird realm. I stand in front of you today as a proud bird lover, autistic person, and member of the LGBTQIA plus community. I wasn't always okay with who I was or who I am. My multiple identities made me feel like I was too much, and so I and shrunk myself for people who were never meant to hold me. Birds have been my guides throughout my whole life, and I have struggled time and time again. From divorce to losing a best friend, birds have seen me at my lowest and gave me hope to reach my highest. One of the biggest lessons that I learned through birds was that I can embrace something to the fullest and simultaneously accept when it is time to walk away. Birds can also teach us a lot about ourselves, including our strengths, weaknesses, and growth. I'm just going to say strengths and growth because I pivoted away from that. Including our strengths and growth. As mostly autistic people here in the crowd, how many times have you had a special interest or hyperfixation where the environment might not be suited to you? For example, pop punk concerts. I love them, but a mosh pit? Not suited for me. There are so many strengths that we as autistic people have that are seemingly overlooked or misunderstood. We know that as autistic people, it is easy to feel like we live a life of constantly being misunderstood. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our strengths. So, when I mention each strength that I'm about to mention, I want you, if you feel you have this strength, to either stand up, or I want you to raise both of your arms. So, first skill is detail-oriented thinking. And then I'll just go down the whole list and I'll say, what are our special interests in the crowd? And I'll look out and I'll ask people what their special interests are, and then they'll share. As autistic people, our lived experience is not without pain, but experiencing life to its fullest means that I embrace my unique traits in my hobbies, passion, and through community. You see, we have so many strengths available to us, and the great thing about some of those strengths is that skills can be built around them to support a strength. But now the question is, well, how do I get to the point of uncovering whether something is a weakness or if additional skills are needed to support a new strength? That's exactly where birds come into play, literally. And then I'll close out, I'll say, today, here, thanks to amazing organizations like this one, bringing autistic people together in community. I once dreamed of being able to speak to an audience of most autistic people, and I'm lucky enough to say that that dream has officially come true. Thank you so much to everyone here. If you are interested in learning more about me and my bird loving journey, head over to my TikTok channel, which is at Learn About Birds, or that Quirky Bird Girl over on Apple or Spotify. Or next year, when you pull up the New York Times bestseller list, I will be on there because I am working on a book, y'all, and I can't wait to release it. I have business cards here, so if you want to chat more, I'll be over there. And I think that's it. I think that's all I can do in terms of tonight, or all I really want to do in terms of tonight, because I don't want to burn myself out in writing this, because then by the time I get to actually performing it, it's going to be different. And I don't know how long that was. I guess it was like 15 minutes. So that's a pretty good, like a decent amount of time, I would say. But I finished my new drink. And I guess I'm gonna wrap up for bed. I guess I did my speech. It was like an hour. I was really scared of doing that, like really scared of like getting started, and I don't really know what it was. Like I was scared of getting started, but I was also scared that I wouldn't do it right, or that I would just be disappointed in myself or upset in myself that I couldn't write to the full extent that I wanted to be writing to, or that maybe like I wasn't a good enough writer. So like, why would I even try? Sometimes these like thoughts are so like inherent and so fast. And if you're an ADHDer like me, sometimes I've always said like the thoughts feel like they come at me with bricks. Like it's just like boom, 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 like thought after thought after thought after thought. And at times it can be really hard to slow them down, especially if you struggle with depression. So it's like I have struggled with both of these two things throughout my life, being an ADHDer and having depression and having the thoughts just like wave. And on top of that, I also have OCD, so it's just like a lot all at one point in time. It's like boom, 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 boom. And I've always struggled to slow it down, and therapists have always told me like, oh, just like piecemeal it, like pull out this and pull out this. And like right now I'm trying to do that. And it's hard. It's really hard. I feel like I was scared for multiple reasons, but part of the reason is just the context around which I did a speech the last time. Like I was in such a different place in my life, and I wasn't doing the best. And actually, I was doing not great at all. I was doing horrible. And I was having a really hard time just like existing. And I didn't know what my future looked like. And I felt like, what is a future? Like I had no idea. And now I'm just looking forward and seeing all of these other areas where um, I get to do something different, or I can maybe show up different. So I think that part is releasing, and the certain amount of like being able to be different, but I think it's just scary whenever you're doing something that feels new and feels so radical. It's like, holy crap, like, should I be doing this? Am I qualified for this? Like, am I really someone who should be getting up in front of people and giving a 20-minute speech when TED Talks are 10 minutes? Like, I'm not qualified. Like, but even saying that sounds wild because I literally submitted an application to a TED Talk. So it's like I will submit to a TED Talk, but then when the opportunity comes up, the fear almost is like, hold off on doing it, hold off on doing it, hold off on doing it. And like I never actually wrote the speech that I want to give. And I think that now I'm writing it, but it's coming together like piecemeal. And I don't think actually that I could have gotten to this place about even writing the speech because up until this point, I was always struggling with writing my book. And I felt like that was a big hurdle that I had to get through in just getting started on what my book was going to look like. And I feel like if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have the skills now to even write the speech because I was scared of doing that and I felt like I wasn't a good enough writer. But like now my thought is like, okay, if I have some of the writing down, am I a good enough speaker? And like I already know I'm a good enough speaker because I'm a content creator, I'm a storyteller. I love sharing my story. I love talking about the depth in people and I love falling in love with people and learning about them and getting excited and just like meeting new people invigorates and it brings me to life. And so I think being in this place where it's been admittedly a little bit dark over the past year and seeing so many just like like all these different like life changes that I've had to adapt to and honestly gotten to adapt to. Like I live in New York City, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And so now I do live in New York City and I do love living here. But the new thing is that I'm trying to find my community and I'm trying to find my people and I'm doing it literally from scratch. Like there is no template people, like there is no nothing like how to be that quirky bird girl, how to build your own brand from the ground up, how to be a YouTuber while simultaneously being a TikToker while simultaneously being a streamer while simultaneously and it's like I'm doing so much all of the time. Like all of the time. And I don't think that like y'all have really seen the background or like what is happening in the back scenes, but I am serious about writing this book. I am well over 10,000 words in. I have written the start of a children's book. I have gotten started on every single thing that I have told y'all that I'm getting started on. And there have been some things that I have had to leave in the dust a little bit until I can come back to them, like Patreon or like Substack, but I will be coming back to them. I just, now is a time when I really need to focus on creativity, and sometimes that creativity takes me offline. But I think doing more videos like this where I show y'all how I'm scared of my autistic and artistic process, like I think it does help, or I'd like to think that it does help. It's always nerve-wracking on my end for me to share my story because I never know, it's a huge release that you experience when you share your story on both sides because you get the release of like, okay, emotionally I shared my story and now like either people are going to decide if this builds community or people are going to decide if they don't want to follow, they don't want to subscribe to my content anymore. Like, which if they don't want to subscribe, then they were never my follower to begin with. Um, but I think it also has been interesting in the way that I have adapted. I don't know. I just think I'm trying to like learn along the way and gather as much information as I can and pick up as much as I can and like absorb. And I'm just learning that there's no like perfect or one way to do that. I used to think that there was, and that life was very, very black and white, and that you got what you got and don't throw a fit type thing. But I'm learning that like some injustices are just that, injustices, and they're not deserved, um, which tells you a lot about what I used to think about myself. But I definitely am not in that place today. Not to say that I need to be out of it, but I'm definitely not in that place today, and I'm really grateful for that. But it's taken a lot of work to get me to this place where I finally feel like, okay, I can love me without feeling sorry for that. Because for the longest time, I did feel very sorry for liking me or for wanting to be around me. And I'm not apologizing for that anymore. And I think that 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 feels really good. Um, so I guess I'm going to continue posting this speech journey. So stay tuned for more. And I love you, lords and lords. And I'll see you very, very soon. Expect more on this speech, more on my website, more on all the fun development stuff that's happening in the background, as well as my book. Stay tuned, y'all. Lots of updates coming. Love you. Bye.